right now on Higher Journeys with Alexis Brooks. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Higher Journeys. I'm Alexis Brooks, and so glad to be back with you this week. If you happen to see my interview back in January with PMH Atwater, world-renowned near-death experiencer and researcher and professional astrologer, particularly if you happen to see that January interview after March, let's say, or even April, the hairs on your arm, like they have been with mine, would be standing on end. Because PMH Atwater, to this day, I have never seen anyone speak specifically to what we're going through right now back in January with extraordinary detail. I wanted to have PMH Atwater back on the show today because I still have so many questions as to not only her insight into how she was able to procure the details about what would eventually unfold for us a couple of months later, but where we're going from here. What does this all mean? And like only PMH Atwater can do in her own very, very definitive style, she nails it once again as to what she sees on the horizon, what this all denotes. Are we living in, we've heard this term new normal, I think probably way more than we need to be hearing it, but what is this really all about? Is there anything that's really new under the sun? Will there be a return to normal as we know it? I think a lot of you know the answer to that, but listen to what PMH Atwater had to say about this and so much more in this, my latest interview with the incredible Ms. Atwater. You know, PMH Atwater, I've been chomping at the bit for this day, even though I didn't really give you a ton of notice, but I've been kind of thinking I have to have PMH back on after the most absolutely fascinating dialogue that we had back in January. It seems like we were on another earth at another time, except for some reason you were able to, what did I say earlier? I put a little post on Instagram where I said my friend PMH Atwater plugged in and plucked out details, not just themes, but specifics about what was to come about 2 months later. And so here we are. Journeyers, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm also going to put this out because I always forget to say this. If you haven't subscribed to Higher Journeys on YouTube, please do so now because we've got such a phenomenal catalog. Obviously shows to come, but a catalog, one of which is my dear friend that you're looking at right now. I'm not just doing a shameless plug. I'm talking about a woman, and I know you're not going to take credit for this, PMH. You said on email, I'm not a forecaster, a predictor, or whatever. Whatever it is you are, you plugged in. And that's what we're here to talk about. How you could, and I'm going to bring up some specific things that you pointed out that we would be facing spot on back in January that we wouldn't see come to fruition until beginning in mid-March. So with that, let me first say welcome before I can chatter away, just singing your praises all day. Welcome back, PMH Atwater. How the heck are you?
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Doesn't she look good in her pink t-shirt? I love it. We're not here to talk about the pink t-shirt. We're going to get right into this. Let's do this. Like I said, you were back. You were, well, I should say back because you've been on the show so many times, but you graced us with your presence back in January of 2020. The impetus there were a couple of things I wanted to talk about. We're just on the heels of the death of Kobe Bryant. And I did want to get your weigh in from a sort of symbology perspective of what that meant. But we quickly went into what happened on January 12th, the conjunction that you called, and I'm going to quote, a frightening trigger that would lead to some very odd and unusual things. For some people, it would be frightening. For others, exciting. Let's continue down that road, PMH. This is now you're looking in the rearview mirror, what you said. And now here we are. Did you even think that you would hit it this spot on?
The trigger was planetary. It was for everybody. Our world is going through immense changes. That was the trigger for the big ones. So we're in that framework now. We will continue to be there for years and years and years. So what I was trying to help people to realize is that the cycles have changed. The way we live within those cycles has altered. And so life, as always, is gone. So we're now in a new world, literally. We're now in a new vibration. We're now in a new way of living. It is not settled. So that means that it's going to be constantly altering. There is no new normal. It is a constantly altering and changing normal. And the normal is that it's constantly changing. That's the normal. It's not a flat line. It's not a steady. Rather, it is that altering, sort of like a circus wheel. It's just going to keep going around and around and changing and altering. And at the very core of us, the very center of us is saying, wait a minute here. Wait a minute, slow down. We want to be able to figure this out. We want to be able to understand it. And it doesn't. It just keeps flipping and it just keeps changing. We have protests now. We have riots. We have anger. It's like the whole world is good. It's just insane. Well, it's not insane. What we are captured in now, what we are living in now, is a roller coaster that's going to continue rolling. So my way of looking at this is, okay, the trigger was basically mid-January. So we know now we're there. So my way of thinking is, okay, we know now that the world has altered and that it will continue to alter. Why don't we then learn skills that help us handle that kind of movement, that kind of reality, that kind of energy?
Like what? Like what?
All of the cycles have changed.
Mm-hmm.
So, long ago I used to be a professional astrologer, and after I died, astrology changed for me. And now cycles, for me, it's more a matter of feeling. It's more a matter of smelling. It's more a matter of rhythm. It's more a matter of looking and feeling what's going on now, and altering, and turning around, and figuring out how am I going to move through this day? How am I going to move through this week? It's not a matter of how I'm going to move through this month.
Right.
Because it's smaller than that. It's like day by day. It's like week by week. So what am I going to do? Let me give you a quick example. And that is, we had the ducts cleaned in our home. That is to say, the circulatory system of the furnace. And the people that came out, two guys that came out to do it, one had never done it before, one had only done it once. And the company was not prepared. They didn't know. They somehow made a mistake. So these two men came out who didn't know what they were what they were doing. So they spent 2 hours of shooting um, stones and sand and lint all over our house, 4 floors, everything in it. I mean, we couldn't even go to bed that night because, the cover of our bed was just, it's like a sandy beach. And so it was horrible. So the first thing you do is you honor you. You honor the body you're living in. You honor your nervous system. You honor what you're made of, and you honor yourself. And so to honor myself, I was enraged. Well, what is a constructive way of honoring my rage? So I called up the company and I told them what happened, and then I allowed myself to scream and scream and scream and scream into the telephone. Well, lo and behold, the people recorded it. That scream to to all the employees as a lesson in what goes wrong if you don't do things right. So after I screamed, I felt good. I released everything. It was all over. I didn't hurt anybody. So I very calmly ate a lunch. And then after my lunch, I very calmly decided, okay, what do I do now? Oh, I know what I can do. I can become an Amazon. So I became an Amazon.
Right. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to stop you there because I know where you're going, but I want to make sure the journeyers are picking this up, and they probably do. So your message to them is, and let me just add this and maybe correct me if I'm off, because a lot of people are being triggered these days, and because typically we're told hold those emotions in. Are you saying that in times like these, feel what you need to feel, do what you need to do, scream if you need to scream?
Absolutely.
There we go.
You have to honor your body, your mind, your brain, your gut. You've got to honor that, but in a way that doesn't hurt others.
There we go.
So I did that. I absolutely did that. And then I honored myself because I could not live with that mess.
Of course not.
So how could I clean it up in a way that wouldn't hurt me?
Or anyone else for that matter. Right.
So I became an Amazon, literally. And I cleaned up my house. And by the next day then, I was fine. I didn't hurt myself. I honored myself. I honored them by showing them what their people had done.
Right.
So everything was positive. It was a disaster that was positive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good came from that disaster. This is what I'm inviting people to be aware of, to think of, to know about, because we're now in the middle of so much anger. Look at your newspaper today. Look at the news. Look at, wherever you want to go.
Right.
People screaming at each other. They're absolutely screaming at each other.
But the difference is they're hurting. There's a lot of hurt that's going on. People are hurting other people.
It's
so
all real.
Yeah, of course it is.
And what happened to me was real. It's all very real. They've been cooped up for a long time.
Yes.
They've got to express that. They're hungry. no job, no money. What are you going to do? You have the right to scream. Okay, you take care of yourself first, the survival skills. You take care of your situation, and then you calm down and realize, if you can, that um, you're in the middle of a cycle that is not going to change or alter just because you want it to, just because you can't handle it anymore. Therefore, you got to learn. You got to learn those skills. You need to learn. You need to learn how to handle your own mind, how to handle your own nervous system, how to handle your own needs.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes looking around to various people who might be able to help you. But number one is your own mind and your own heart and your own soul.
Mm.
And the best way to handle that is if you're anywhere near a lawn, or if you're anywhere near dirt where you can do something like this, get down on your tummy and scream at the dirt. Um, because the land, Mother Earth, can handle your anger.
You've said this many times. I just referenced that, by the way, my dear, in my last conscious commentary in the garden. I think you used the word composting, and I always stuck with that the earth has the ability to take unto itself your problems and compost it and return it back as fertile soil for you to plant new seeds. Let me ask you this question, because you're hitting some really great points, but I want to go back to a few points that you made, or comments, remarks from January. Here's one: change or die. Now, I think you were referencing this Pluto return that I believe is underway, and you talked about the features of Pluto and how it applies to our country. You said back then that our Constitution would be challenged. Look at what we're dealing with right now. So talk about that a little bit. Change or die. That's a pretty blunt reality check. But in the midst of what you're saying is going to be unrelenting for years. Put that in the context. When you say change or die, are you talking about the country? Are you talking about the macro and the micro, us as individuals as well as this country? Elaborate on that if you would.
I'm talking about all of it. I'm not talking about the entire planet and everybody in it. So I'm talking about everything here, because Pluto now has moved into a critical degree of Capricorn. Capricorn is the earth. It is the earth mother. It is money. It is finance. It is enterprise. It is banking. It is your home and what you value. It is the very construct of society. So Pluto has moved into that for the Earth, but it has also moved into that specifically in our country, the United States of America. When we were born, what was that, 244 years ago? Pluto is now back in the place it was when we were born. It's called a planetary return.
Mm-hmm.
So Pluto has returned to where it was when we were born.
As a country, when you say we were born, you're talking about the country. I see.
This doesn't happen to people because the orb of Pluto is too long. It's like a 244-year orb. So people don't live that long. But it can happen to countries. It will happen to our country. It is happening now. So between 2020, which is now, and 2024, which is 4 years from now, we are, the United States of America, is in the middle of a Pluto return. Anything and everything that is hidden will come to the surface. Don't you love it?
That's what we talked about before. Absolutely.
Pluto will clean house. In symbology, in astrological symbology, Pluto is the sign of the saint or the sinner. It is the ruler, if you will, of the sign of Scorpio. So anything really great or really awful is coming to the surface. The good is coming to the surface. The bad is coming to the surface. We're getting it all.
Dichotomy. That's what I call the dichotomy and precipice of change. The dichotomy at the precipice of change.
There's no middle anymore. The middle is gone. So the middle of America is gone. So we've got the high and we've got the low. What we want to do as people is bring it together. We're not going to do it in 4 years. What we're going to be able to do is hash and rehash and figure out how we can do that, how we can bring it together, how we can correct past mistakes and bring together the kind of country we always have wanted. We want now that, that light on the hill, if you will, that beacon. We want America to be that. It has never fully been there. We thought it was, but it's never fully been there.
Right.
It's like what happened in Greenwood, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the first time ever the United States as a country went in with troops and machinery and vehicles and destroyed an African-American conclave of doctors and lawyers and educated people who had a wonderful functioning economy. That's the first time ever.
Right.
That the United States has destroyed one of its own. So this kind of stuff is coming up, but you see, it's coming up in everybody's life.
Yeah, but it's also coming up. I have to bridge over to, because we reached the planet, and because of what initially happened in March, that reached the planet. We're talking about a global pandemic. Yeah. Going back to this Pluto return, or the fact that we're in this stage, and this planet and this conjunction, which was centered in Uluru, the archetypal conjunction aspect was centered in Uluru, where I was in Australia at the time. There's got to be effects for the entire planet, not just our country. So talk about that. Speak to some of the people that are living in Australia, living in the UK, living, in other parts of the world.
Doesn't matter where you are.
But how I want you to talk. I want you to speak to how it will affect them, rather than just our country. What will they be going through?
Anything hidden surfaces. So anything in any country that is hidden surfaces. Look what's surfacing now in China with Hong Kong. Anything hidden will surface. Look what's happening in Russia. Look what's happening in Afghanistan. It doesn't matter where you live. All the evil is going to surface. Everything that is out of balance is going to surface. and it's going to be there for at least 4 years. At least 4 years. The main year is 2022. That's the one we're going to pay attention to the most that year, but it's the full 4 year span.
You know what's interesting when you talk about that 4 year span? I've heard 2024 being an integral step or conclusion in some cases to what we're seeing now. And what I find interesting, maybe you can speak to this, PMH, is that let's talk eclipse for a moment. Again, an area that's not my bailiwick, but I find it fascinating. We had an eclipse on the summer solstice, interestingly, June 21st, just a couple short weeks ago.
Yeah.
And my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the next major eclipse, solar eclipse, I believe, is in 2024. Is that an accident? How
No.
do you bridge all? Talk about that.
Well, it started, 2020, ends 2024. Once we move past 2024, we begin then to taste real Aquarian energies.
Ah, there we go. The Aquarian age. People want to hear about that. What do you see there,
Well,
Miss PMH?
it doesn't start then, but we begin to feel real Aquarian energies. People have been saying this for years, decades. The age of Aquarius is here. Well, no, it wasn't. We got little hints and feelings and ideas of Aquarius. We got to feel a little bit of it, but we're not going to really get a sense of Aquarius until after 2024. Because that's when Pluto moves in. It's not until the movement of Pluto that we have the opportunity then to get that sense or feeling, that gut feeling of what Aquarius really is.
And what is it? How would you describe what Aquarius really is?
Well, I'm not sure I really like it because I'm an earth sign. Aquarius is an air sign.
But generally speaking, how is it viewed? The age of Aquarius.
Well, certainly the age of Aquarius. Everyone is more equal. The laws are more equal. We begin to function then as a society that operates according to true values that are not based on somebody's wealth or somebody's religion, but what is based on what is right for the highest good of all concerned. So we look at that and we get all dreamy eyed and we think, oh, finally we get something that's more truly religious or truly spiritual. This is what we really want and pray for. But we're really not going to get it until about 2132 or 2133 with the 33rd passage of Halley's Comet. So we get a taste of it after 2024.
Mm-hmm. That's a new age, ushering in a new age. Yeah.
We get a taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
So Pluto's job right now is to clean house so that we can get that fresh air of what a true values and true meanings can be.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to go through the crap first before we get to real light.
I get that. I absolutely get that. The foundation is so wobbly. I was just saying on a show the other day, you cannot build a new structure on an unstable foundation. So that's clear. I mean, all of these things really, to me, show up in nature, show up in history, show up in cycles. Let me ask you this, because we only have a few minutes left, PMH, and there's always so much to cover with you, but I really want to hit the points. I wanted to take off on what we left off in January when we were in this old world. Some people are taking offense to, are using the term new world, and I understand where you're coming from there. Nothing is new under the sun, but here's what I want to ask you. A lot of those that watch the show and shows like this are very interested in individual evolution. And when I say evolution, I don't mean this in a vacuum. I'm talking about our abilities using ESP. I'm talking about things like telepathy and really being able to turn on that which I feel has been atrophied for millennia, our own internal Wi-Fi, forgive the cliche. Do you see any of that becoming more of a reality? Things like teleportation. Let's go. Let's take it all the way. We're talking about still very 3D things, but there's another thing I feel that's on a trajectory that will be accompanying this, even if we just get a taste of it. What are your thoughts on that? Will we evolve from that perspective? Are we moving in that direction?
That is an example of what I just gave you of our duct tragedy. Is an example of, how do I put this in words? Of behavior under Aquarian energies, where I was able to handle that in a way that honored myself, honored the situation, and cleaned up the mess. Think about that. This is what we're going through right now. How do you best honor yourself, your life, your world, your family, and still clean up the mess and walk forward? The way you do it always is you honor yourself. You are a God.
Mm-hmm.
In the Christian Bible, it says, ye are gods in the making.
That's right.
Live it. Be it. You are God in the making. Honor that God that you are. Little g.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We are gods in the making. Honor who you are. Then honor where you are. I'm in the middle of a mess. How do I handle it? By hurting somebody else?
Right. Retaliation. That's gone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I honored myself. Then I ate a calm, wonderful lunch. Then I decided, how do I handle this?
Mm-hmm. I get that.
I became an Amazon, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Not dreamy, literally, muscles. I became an Amazon. I cleaned 3 floors.
So I want to ask you a question. You emphasize this, and I think I'm getting what you're saying. What you're saying is under normal circumstances, maybe the old PMH wouldn't have even had the physical might to do that, but you were able to shapeshift. When you say I became, that's what I keep hearing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cut to the chase here because we're going to run out of time. So I think what you're saying when I ask the question, are we going to become more psychic? Are we going to become more intuitive? You're saying that that is an example. What you're giving is I can transmute
stuff.
Hmm?
Forget this psychic stuff.
Well, I don't want to. Okay.
You are. That's who you are. You are a God in the making.
I get that. I'm just using a term.
That's everything. That's all and everything.
Mm.
How do you handle that in a positive, constructive, prayerful, joyful way?
Hmm. Hmm. I get that.
Honor that by becoming that. That includes everything else. Forget about the psychic skills.
Well, I
You,
don't know. I don't know about that. I'm gonna. Yeah. Well, it.
you are that.
I,
Live it.
I
Forgive
understand what you're saying.
it.
I understand what you're saying, PMH. I'm using it as a term. We use language to describe a certain feature. I understand what you're saying, but we haven't used it.
Back to center. I'm going to always bring you back to center. And the center is your heart. The center is love. The center is God. You are a God in the making. Act like it. Be it.
Hmm.
That's it. That's who you are.
There you are, folks. You are God's in the making. You are the guru. I get it. Language can be both a helper and a hinderer. And sometimes I loathe language because it can be
That's why I
PMH.
gave you an example.
Right, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I do like to talk about the nuts and bolts of what we consider to be psychic ability because it's been atrophied for so long. You're saying we are it, but we haven't acted like it. So by doing so, we get that. So by you giving that very lucid illustration, it's subtle but profound. We have the ability. You became the god of PMH and making the right decision, knowing that you know how to transmute that energy, and you did so. So this is a great time to practice
God
that, folks.
I became the God of the moment.
Hmm. The god of the moment,
I wasn't
one day at a
PMH.
time. Yeah,
I was the God of the moment. I will
beautiful.
always bring you back to who you are and where you are the moment.
Hmm. There it is. Well, this is the time, folks, to they say live in the moment. I've never heard so many cliches that are applicable to what we're going through right now, but I think they're more than cliche. I think we absolutely have to do that. My mantra has been one day at a time. I know yours is be here now. I didn't
Yeah.
forget that. Be here now, people. All right, PMH, tell us very quickly.
Ramdas.
Ram Dass, that's right. Tell us very quickly what's coming up for you next. We got about 2 minutes. What's happening with PMH now?
This week, I begin the research on my next book.
Yay.
And that book is where I tear apart and re examine my life, my death, my research.
Sounds deep. But everything you do is deep. By the way, PMH Atwater, one of the most articulate, irreverent, brilliant authors I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. Thank you for all you do. I'm going to list a few of your books. I can name a few right now. Future Memory, I have to say, I believe that's the first book I read of yours many years ago. Oh my God.
That's a labyrinth. It's not a book.
Right? Exactly. Didn't you do a near-death experience for dummies book? I thought
Idiots. Idiots.
for idiots, for dummies, for idiots. Okay, excuse me.
I've done 18 of them there.
I know. Well, I know that.
Website www.pmhatwater.com
Okay,
and get my free monthly newsletter. It
absolutely.
comes out today or tomorrow. It's coming out pretty soon.
One of the best out there, folks. All right, PMH. Listen, thank you as always for your wisdom and your energy. It's infectious. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you will go back because, again, if you subscribe, well, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and go back. Take advantage. Go back and listen and watch these wonderful conversations with people like PMH Atwater. What can I say? Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much. Don't hang up. You stay right there. I'm going to say goodbye to the journeyers. Oh, and don't forget, Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Conscious Commentary Live. Got so much going on. Join me at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We were working on tweaking the time. The journeyers that were on with me the last time said 3 p.m. Eastern sounds pretty good, but let's see. So I'm giving you a heads up. We will see you Friday at 3 p.m. We'll be talking. We might drop in a couple of points on this conversation and more. So we'll see you there. Love you, PMH. Don't hang up. Love you, journeyers. And I'll see you in a few short days. Bye. Take care now.